think we're ready, Marianne. Oh, there we go. Okay. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to what I think might be our final committee meeting as the Joint Standing Committee of the Environment and Natural Resources. Today is Friday, March 18th, and we are gathered for the purposes of both a public hearing and I believe a work session for review of major substantive rules. I think, let me read you the title. Oh, goodness, it's not up there. Oh, wait a minute, here it is. It's LD 2026, Resolve regarding legislative review of Chapter 180, Appliance Efficiency Standards, a late filing major substantive rule of the Department of Environmental Protection's Bureau of Air Quality. I wanted to start out with introductions. And we'll start with Representative Ziegler.
Good morning, I'm Representative Ziegler from District 96. Thank you.
Representative Bell.
Art Bell, House District 47, Yarmouth, Shabeek, and Long Island.
Representative Dudera.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Vicki Dudera. I represent House District 94, the towns of Rockport, the island of Islesboro, and my hometown of Camden.
Representative Boyle.
Good morning. I'm Representative Jim Boyle, District 27, Gorham and Scarborough.
Representative Toole.
Good morning. I'm Representative Will Toole. I represent the Machias area plus Lubec and Eastport.
Representative Bloom. Whoops, did we lose Representative Bloom? I think we might have lost her. Representative Hanley.
Good morning and thank you, Senator. I'm Jeff Hanley. I represent District 87, which is the towns of Pittston, Allno, Wiscasset, and Randolph. And I want to wish everyone a happy St. Patrick's Day, a day late.
Senator Bennett.
Good morning, I'm Rick Bennett. I have the honor of serving the people of 13 towns in Western Maine from the greater Freiburg area through the Lakes region of Cumberland County and the Oxford Hills.
Senator Carney. Oops, you're muted, Senator.
Good morning, everyone. I am awake. I'm Ann Garney. I represent Senate District 29, which includes South Portland, Cape Elizabeth, and a little bit of Scarborough.
And my co-chair, Representative Tucker.
Good morning. I'm Ralph Tucker from House District 50, Brunswick. Thank you.
And we're also joined by Dan Tartikoff, who's our analyst from OPLA, and Marianne McMaster, who's our aide, and we're always grateful to you both for your support. And I'm Stacy Brenner. I represent Senate District 30, which includes all of Gorham, most of Scarborough, and part of Buxton. Before we get too far in, just because I have to leave perhaps early, I just wanted to express my gratitude to all of you for your patience with me as a first session legislator learning the ropes and all of the procedural maneuvers that are possible and understanding how we make all of these bills move through committee and hit the floor. So I'm grateful to all of you for your patience with me and your support along the way. And I feel really good about the work we've done together. And I want to say a special thank you to my co-chair. He's been such a great mentor, and he sometimes puts little crumbs out for me and sometimes leads me to the trough to help me find my way. And I really appreciate all of your grace and kindness. And I'll miss you. This might be your last committee meeting. So thank you. All right, and with that, we'll open up our work session, and I'm going to pass the gavel over to our co-chair, and in case I have to leave early.
Thank you very much. I'd like to ask if Mary Ann could please make me a host so that I can move people over from the side.
Yep, I've done that.
Okay, thank you very much.
If you would prefer, I can move them over for you.
Okay.
All right,
Could you please move
certainly.
Earl Townsend and Sean Mahoney over right now? And let me start off the hearing. The clerk of the House asked me if I would be willing to present this bill, which I will now do. Good morning, Senator Brenner and members of the Joint Standing Committee on Environment and Natural Resources. I'm Representative Ralph Tucker, and I'm here to introduce LD 2026, a resolve regarding legislative review of Chapter 180, Appliance Efficiency Standards, a late filed major substantive rule of the Department of Environmental Protection's Bureau of Air Quality. Last session, the legislature passed LD 940, an act to establish appliance energy and water standards. Governor Mills signed it into law on July 8, 2021, as Public Law 2021 and Chapter 433. After a public hearing and after considering and responding to public comments, the board has provisionally adopted this rule under its authority. The Department of Environmental Protection will follow with more extensive explanation of this proposal. And I assume that everyone here has received a copy of the forwarding letter from Suzanne Gresser, which included a description of the appliance efficiency standards, the rules themselves, and response to comments. It's a fairly short package. Does anybody have any questions at this point as to what we're doing before I call up Earl Townsend to describe the rules? Mr. Townsend, could you please introduce yourself, explain what you do at DEP, and tell us a little about the procedures you went through to develop these rules and what they do?
Thank you, Senator Brenner, Representative Tucker, and members of the committee. My name is Earl Townsend, and I'm a policy development specialist for the Department of Environmental Protection, and I'm speaking today in support of LD 2026 for the department. The passage of 2026 will formally adopt the Chapter 180 Rule Appliance Efficiency Standards, which has been provisionally adopted by the board, and the department requests the committee's recommendation for legislative adoption. On July 8th, 2021, Governor Mills signed into law LD 940, an act to establish appliance, energy, and water standards. This non-emergency legislation authorized the department to initiate rulemaking to restrict the sale of certain appliances and plumbing fixtures listed in Public Law 2021, Chapter 433, beginning on January 1st, 2023. On December 16th, 2021, the board voted to schedule a public hearing on January 20th, 2022 for the department's rulemaking proposal. Public comment period subsequently closed on January 31st, 2022. I apologize for my dog barking in the background. Comments were received from 3 parties during the public comment period. These comments are summarized and the department's responses are set forth in the basis statement and response to comments document in your materials. On March 3rd, 2022, the board voted unanimously to provisionally adopt these rules. The department's provisionally adopted rule has been developed to parallel rules and legislation in several other states with greenhouse gas reduction and energy conservation goals similar to Maine's, and to take advantage of the availability of products that already comply with existing federal and state efficiency standards and guidelines, such as the Energy Star program, that have until now been unenforceable. In response to these existing federal and state guidelines, compliant versions of the products affected by this rule are already available. Product categories affected by the rule include computers and computer monitors, general service lamps, commercial hot food holding cabinets, plumbing fittings that are shower heads, lavatory faucets, kitchen faucets, public lavatory faucets, metering faucets, kitchen replacement aerators or lavatory replacement aerators, plumbing fixtures that are water closets or urinals, portable electric spas, spray sprinkler bodies, and water dispensers. In order to minimize any impact to distributors of these regulated products, the rule allows sell-through of products manufactured before the effective date, as well as resale of used products. Thank you for your consideration and allowing this testimony, and I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions from members of the committee? What does sell-through mean?
So retailers and warehouses have stock on the shelf or in the warehouse, and we're not going to tell them they have to throw that stuff away. We're going to let them sell that as long as it's manufactured before the effective date of the rule. The product is not affected by the rule.
Representative Dudera.
Thank you. I think, Mr. Townsend, that you just answered my question at the very end. But I just want to make sure. So something like a Habitat Restore, I'm pretty active in our Midcoast Habitat. They're selling appliances that don't meet these things. That's okay because they're used. And so
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And there's a definition of use provided in the rule for that too.
Thank you. Any further questions? Thank you, Mr. Townsend. I'd like you to stay with us, if you don't mind, in case something comes up. You can stay right there. You can leave your video on. Are there any other persons who would like to testify in favor of this legislation? Mr. Mahoney.
Good morning, Representative Tucker, Senator Brenner, and members of the Environment and Natural Resources Committee. My name is Sean Mahoney. I'm with the Conservation Law Foundation, and I'd like to testify briefly in strong support of LD 2026. I'd first like to thank the committee for all of its hard work this past session and hope that you all get a well-deserved day outside, as it looks like it's going to be pretty nice out. I will keep this short. This LD 2026 represents the hard work, the in the weeds work that's necessary to execute on the good legislation that was passed last session by the legislature. Energy efficiency is not that sexy when you're talking about shower spigots and the like, but this is very important work. It not only is saving energy, but it saves consumers money. And it is a strong rule. We appreciate the departments moving this forward and hope that it that you all vote ought to pass and that this goes into effect in this current year. Thank you, and I'd be obviously happy to answer any questions.
Would anyone like to discuss this matter with Attorney Mahoney? Okay, I'm about to close the public hearing. Are there any comments or questions before I do so? We'll be moving into work session immediately following the hearing. Very well. I'm declaring the hearing on LD 2026, the resolve concerning these rules to be closed. Would anyone like to make a motion to move into work session ahead of 9 o'clock?
I'll make that motion.
Okay. All in favor, raise your hand. Is there anybody opposed? No. Okay, we are now in work session. Perhaps I could just, why don't I let Dan explain a little bit about the rules provisions, just an overview. Would that be appropriate, Dan?
Do you mean generally speaking about rules?
Well, I was going to go through the the findings that we have to make. I didn't know if you had anything planned, any comments.
No, and those findings, and I sent you all out a general document this morning that my office prepares and distributes during orientation, and then is promptly forgotten by most people, I assume. But the gist of it is the statute provides a number of criteria that committees can consider when reviewing a rule, but there's no formal requirement for making any findings when you vote on a rule's resolve. So I think that the critical note here is because this is a late filed rule, it was filed after what's considered the end of the rule acceptance period. In order for the department to finally adopt the rule, the legislature has to affirmatively approve that final adoption. So if it's filed timely, then it doesn't really matter. If the legislature fails to act, the agency can finally adopt the rule. So in this instance, there would need to be some sort of legislative approval, and that can be accomplished simply through an ought to pass vote on the resolve LD 2026. There are also other options available to the committee to require additional changes to the rule prior to final adoption. That's an option, and the resolve could be amended that way. Or if the rule is to not be finally adopted, the resolve could either be amended to note that final adoption is not allowed, or because it's a late filed rule and ought not to pass would serve the same role.
Okay. I'm just going to go through a section in the Administrative Procedures Act, which says what the committee must review. The committee's review must include, but is not limited to, a determination of, and I'm just going to go through these very quickly so you can get the gist. Whether the agency, whether the DEP has exceeded the scope of its statutory authority in approving this provisionally adopted rule. B, whether the adopted rule is in conformity with the legislative intent of the statute the rule is intended to implement. I mean, these look pretty clear to me, but you can give this some thought. C, whether the provisionally adopted rule conflicts with any other provision of law or any other rule adopted by the same or a different agency. Is there any conflicts? D, whether the provisionally adopted rule is necessary to fully accomplish the objectives of the statute under which the rule was proposed. Here we're lucky because this is the same committee that passed the statute, so you should be familiar with the statute that we, in fact, recommended. E, whether the provisionally adopted rule is reasonable, especially as it affects the convenience of the general public or of persons particularly affected by it. F, whether the provisionally adopted rule has been, could be made less complex or more readily understandable to the general public. G, whether the provisionally adopted rule was proposed in compliance with the requirements of this chapter and the requirements imposed by any other provision of law. That's kind of a more general requirement. And the last one, this is a fascinating one, H, for a rule that is reasonably expected to result in a significant reduction in property values, whether sufficient variance provisions exist in law or in rule to avoid a unconstitutional taking, and whether, as a matter of policy, the expected reduction is necessary or appropriate for the protection of the public health, safety, and welfare advanced by the rule. We're supposed to take all those matters into consideration. It's quite a little checklist. In my opinion, we meet all those requirements, but reasonable people can differ. So we'll open up the discussion. Do I hear a motion to adopt, to authorize the promulgation of these rules by the department? Does anybody want to make such a motion? Okay. Senator Brenner, seconded by Senator Bennett. Would anybody like to discuss requirements A through H?
I think we meet them, or it
Okay.
meets them.
Representative Hanley.
Yes, good morning. My concern is the late filing date. I think we're pushing these through a little early, so that's my concern. I was hoping these would wait till next year, but that's because I was initially opposed to the original legislation, and I still am, but now this is just an added roadblock for me, is that these are being, I think, hastily put through.
Okay. Further discussion? Mr. Tartikoff.
Just to clarify, the motion is ought to pass.
Yes.
Okay.
I will note that it currently is set up as an emergency resolve, which will require 2/3 for final enactment. If we don't get 2/3, then one option would be to remove the emergency preamble. Okay, it looks like our discussion is over. We're ready for a roll call.
Senator Brenner. Hear
Yes.
me? Senator Brenner, yes. Representative Tucker.
Yes.
Representative Tucker, yes. Senator Bennett.
Yes.
Senator Bennett, yes. Senator Carney.
Yes.
Senator Carney, yes. Representative Boyle.
Yes.
Representative Boyle, yes. Representative Toole.
No.
Representative Toole, no. Representative Bloom.
Yes.
Representative Bloom, yes. Representative Hanley.
No.
Representative Hanley, no. Representative O'Connor, absent. Representative Gramlich, absent. Representative Dodera.
Yes.
Representative Dodera, yes. Representative Bell.
Yes.
Representative Bell, yes. Representative Ziegler.
Yes.
Representative Ziegler, yes. 9 members voting in the affirmative, 2 members against, 2 members absent. Representative Toole and Hanley, are you ought not to pass?
Yes, that will be the minority vote, ought not to pass.
Thank you.
Yes, that's good with me also.
Okay, well, we had a quorum. We also had not only 1 senator, but 3 senators. So we have a super quorum today. Does anyone have any, Senator Bennett?
Yeah, thank you, Chairman Tucker. I just wanted to say, maybe this a superabundance of senators may be too much of a good thing. Beyond that, I wanted to just say that I really enjoyed serving on the committee this past couple of years, and I've learned a lot, and I appreciate it. And I particularly wanted to give a shout out to you, Representative Tucker, and to Senator Brenner for your outstanding leadership of the committee, looking always respectfully to bring people together and find common ground. And I'm grateful to be able to serve with both of you and the rest of the committee members. And thank you for the opportunity.
That's a wonderful thing for you to say, especially coming from a former Senate president. I appreciate your remarks. Thank you. Representative Bloom.
No, I was going to just put up a clapping hand, but I couldn't find a clapping hand. So that was all. Thank you. Thank you, Senator Bennett.
Okay. Okay. Well, too bad we're not all together in person. We could give each other awards and so forth, mugs and so forth. Representative Hanley.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Representative Tucker. I want to mirror the same things that Senator Bennett said, that serving with you and Senator Brenner has been a fine experience. You've always been very kind and fair in your and running of the committee, and I appreciate that. And Ralph, you and I have been struggling through this muddy mess for 8 years, so you know, and a sense of humor always helps. And one last thing, I would like to wish all of you an Irish blessing. May you be in heaven a half an hour before the devil knows you're dead.
Okay.
Representative Hanley, did you have corned beef and hash last night?
We have a big one planned for tomorrow with all the family.
I don't think we should sign off immediately. We'd be remiss if we didn't make a huge appreciation for Dan Tartikoff and Mary Ann, who have been backing us up and keeping us on track. And I want to extend my heartiest thanks to both of them. And we're now about to launch into our divided reports in our respective chambers. And I hope that our comedy and friendliness will extend into those regions. Okay, anything else? Representative Ziegler.
Yes, Representative Tucker, I spent the last 6 years with you, and I want to thank you for your guidance. And now I have to go to EUT, and good luck to all of you.
Okay. Okay.